Just got back from Rio, so
Yes.
I have very fresh
Yes.
tips to give.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
so
you.
So fun. So my first question is, tell everyone just a little bit about you. How long have you lived in the States? Where are you from in Rio? And a little bit of your story.
Okay. I live in the United States for the last 27 years. I'm original from Rio de Janeiro, the city, Rio de Janeiro, Zona Sul. I'm born in Leblon. I'm
Bougie neighborhood.
How they call patricinhas. I study in front of the beach. My school, unfortunately, they just closed last month.
Aww.
Yeah, because I don't know what the story is, but I was able to meet a few of my friends that I know since infants that we went to school together.
God.
So that was a fun thing that I did in my trip.
So like a little get together.
Yeah, a little get together.
Like a little reunion.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
before the school got shut
50-something
down.
years ago. Reunion for like a 40-something years.
So 27 years. And
27 years from Rio, born in Leblon. All my teenage years I spent in Ipanema. And then I went to Copacabana before I come here. So I went to all the
nice parts.
The nice parts,
beaches.
The nice beaches.
So let's back it up because I know you just went and you went last year. But before that, you stayed a long time without going.
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
So let's talk about that trip first before we talk about this one. What was it like after not visiting Rio for 10 years?
Oh, first of all, it was a shock.
Okay.
So many people walking on the street, so many cars, so many taxi cabs, a lot of new restaurants, a lot of things changed. So for me, it was a shock in the beginning, but then I got, the more I stayed, the longer I stayed, then I was starting to acclimate it. But when I went the first time after 10 years, I stayed on one of my neighborhoods that I used to live in, basically like in front of the building that I used to live.
Oh,
so
nice.
I was very comfortable in that area, and I know everything.
Yeah. And I'm sure all the memories come back.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like the smells,
going to school, walking to the school.
Yes.
My father, crossing the street to drop me off.
Yeah.
To, drive me to the school. When I was, so much stuff. Boyfriends,
We're not talking about that. That's another episode. That's, you gotta it's a paid channel episode, okay? Members only. Amazing. But it sounds like the cars really multiply a lot of, which adds on traffic, right? Before,
much more traffic.
Not a lot of people had as many cars. All right, cool. So let's talk about this last trip. How many days did you go?
This time I stayed in Copacabana. That was very scary for me the first time to go to Copacabana because I heard it was dangerous and everything. And I stayed right in the center this time in a rua, a street called Santa Clara. My dad have an apartment over there.
Okay.
And I stayed on his apartment, and it was a great experience because the street changed. So it was no more buses going down the street.
Okay.
I saw police cars.
Okay.
They put bumps on the streets
Nice.
that didn't have before. So it's a more quiet. It's quieter now than before, like 27 years ago when I used to live in that part.
Okay. And is it like close to
close,
supermarket, restaurant?
Close to supermarket, close to metro,
subway,
subway. Close to all supermarkets, a lot of restaurants, and it's like maybe 6 blocks from the beach.
Oh.
So you can walk you get to the beach like less than 10 minutes walking.
So it's interesting that you say that you were a little scared, right? So let's start talking a little bit more about safety tips for Rio and what you recommend. You and I talked a little bit, some of our ideas. So the first question I have is, Airbnb or hotel? What do you recommend for somebody some, Americans, Canadians, foreigners visiting Brazil?
I think
or Rio?
I think it all depends what you wanted. Like I have a few friends that they like to stay in a hotel because they like to get to the room and they want the bed ready. They like the experience for the hotel and, the security. But also you can find apartments that are very nice, very secure, but you're not going to have the service, the bed sheets, the towels, everything, but all depends on the Airbnb that you're renting. Right. So some provide, some don't. So I think for me, all depends on your trip and what you're looking for as when you stay in a traveler. Place. As a traveler.
Also, Brazil does have some amazing breakfast at these hotels.
Yes, they do.
Fresh fruit.
And it's usually part of the fee you pay for the
delicious.
Room.
Yeah. That's something I like. Yeah. But if they decide on, I think also depends if you're going as a group, right? Because for a solo traveler, maybe a hotel is a better option or a couple. What about, if you do rent out an Airbnb, do you recommend it still being in one of those neighborhoods?
I would say for me, my own opinion, okay, I think Leblon is the safest neighborhood.
Okay.
Not that nothing gonna happen over there, but it's the safest. You walk more, you feel safe walking over there. And I also have a very nice nightlife. At Baixo Leblon.
Okay.
They have a lot of restaurants, so you can walk at night and have a lot of people on the street. So that's a good part of Leblon. Ipanema, depending which street you're gonna stay.
Gotcha.
So, we can go in another video. I can go through the places that are good to stay in Ipanema. Yeah. And Copacabana, it depend also of your location.
Okay, great. But it sounds like Leblon, it's like very walkable.
And Ipanema too, and Copacabana, they all walkable. But you need to know where you're staying.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So a local person is the best for you to give you this tip.
Yes. And let's talk about getting around, transportation. What is your recommendation for a foreigner?
But that's only me. I like to Uber everywhere. Right. I didn't use the subway. For my own reasons. I don't get a bus for my own reasons, and I don't like yellow cab. I'm sorry. I don't like.
Do you think they charge more?
They play around sometimes with the numbers, some people. Yeah. And I think when they think you are not from that,
right,
they kind of like go around because the price goes through that meter thing. So I like to know how much I'm paying. So for me, Uber is my main transportation when I go to Rio.
And is it easy to order an Uber there?
Very easy. Okay. We just need to have Wi-Fi. My phone wasn't working very good over there. But if you have Wi-Fi, you can usually access my tip is always stay inside when you order. Check the last 3 numbers of the plate and confirm the name of the person when you get in. But I think this is everywhere. Yeah. I always do that.
Yeah. Well, people need to be reminded. Yeah. So a safety tip for traveling, especially for traveling solo. Another tip that I recently saw somebody on TikTok share that I've now started doing is I change my name on the app. Because I have a very unique name. You have a unique name too. So and it's not a Brazilian name. A lot of people think my name is a Brazilian name. So when I'm in Brazil, in my city and state, which is Espírito Santo, Vitória, I don't want them to see that different name. And like, if they look me up online, they could see that I don't live there. So I thought that was smart. So I'm not going to say what name I am, but it's a different.
She using her other name.
My other name.
The code name.
Sure. So that was one safety tip for Uber, but you have a very important safety tip for Uber. What happened to you because you left your phone in the Uber in Brazil, and it was a whole situation.
It was a whole situation because I have panic attacks. I'm very, very funny, but I can get very intense when I'm nervous. And so I left my phone in Uber. I didn't have nobody's phone. So my tip number 1, always have like a little book. Right. That's what I learned now. have a book with maybe 3 phone numbers that you, from people from there that you know, or people that can help you over there. That's number 1. Number 2, if something like that happened with you, you can always get in somebody else's phone, download the app, and go to your account. Because if you go, of course, you need to know your password.
So that was what you learned.
You need to know your password, because if you don't know your password, they're going to send you codes and you're not going to be able to do because you don't have your phone. So you need to know your passcode, because you can get to anybody's phone, download, and you can contact the person that you were, that drive before. That was a driver.
Yeah. And let them know, like, hey, do you have my phone? And message them.
So that was the easy way to do it. But for me, it was a little bit hard because I got in a panic mode and I ended up calling my husband. He tracked my phone. The phone was in movement. So we knew it was with the driver. My son did try to find my phone. But something that I learned, if you're in another country, Find My Phone doesn't work.
Okay.
So he couldn't
locate it.
He couldn't send the sound or the message.
Got it.
Or anything like that.
The thing.
He couldn't do. So that's something that I learned. So have a few people
numbers.
Even if you don't know nobody where you're going, I think you should know 3 cell phones that you can call.
Right.
And of course have WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You can do WhatsApp.
Yeah. WhatsApp is very important. So it's an app that you could communicate easily with people, with your hotel.
Yeah. Anywhere around the world without make like a phone call, like a paid phone call.
Right. And then also you said you only use Uber Black in Rio. Yeah.
What I do, because, for me, and you might think that I'm very picky with that, but I like the Uber Black, not just in Brazil, but like also when I go to other places like New York, the place that I go very often. Because first of all, the person who's driving, it feels like they're more
professional
and educated, knowledgeable.
Yes.
The other thing is, if something like that happened, like I forgot my phone, the person who got after me was the person who found my phone and gave to the driver. So maybe if it was like a regular Uber or a regular taxi, the person could just take it. I think for me it's different.
Right.
If for the person who is using the Uber and the person who is driving the Uber.
And interesting enough, in my state, they don't have the Uber Black. It's like comfort. It's something else. There's priority, comfort.
Some states don't have the Black.
Yeah, some states don't have the Black. So always get the top. You're just going to feel safer. That driver probably has more experience driving, more rides too.
And also they have more knowledge of the Rio. Usually they know stuff. They know a lot of stuff. And they more caring, I think.
Okay.
I think that's the main difference.
That's interesting.
The car is usually clean.
Nicer, too.
Usually
there's some cars.
Yeah.
Not just in Brazil, just anywhere.
Usually the cars are clean. But now, I learned one thing. Uber Black doesn't mean that you're going to get a black car over there. It can be white, gray, dark gray.
Uh-oh.
And I forgot another color. Black, dark. They don't do red.
They
don't do red. They don't do yellow. They don't do greens.
Okay.
It's like
I
need
didn't
to
know
be a
that.
neutral
That's
color.
Cool to know.
Yeah, because I talk a lot with them.
That's a great tip.
I talk a lot with them, so I learn a lot about Uber.
That's a great tip. One thing I do when I'm traveling is every driver I get, I ask, what is your favorite restaurant of this? Or what is your favorite bar? And then sometimes when I see them repeating the place, then I'm like, okay, that is really good. That's a good tip. Very cool. So I think that's just very insightful as far as transportation is concerned. For me too. So I think it's easy. And it's also really affordable. It's very cheap because of the dollar and the Brazilian now.
Like, it's very different when you get an Uber in New York.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can't. Okay. My friend spent like $100, 3 blocks or something.
Yeah. So it's very different. But for us, when we change the currency, it's very affordable. So sometimes a Uber ride that you're going to take like an hour is like $30, $36, $25. For them is like, over there is like 160, 130 reals.
And that's Rio, because where I live, I think the most expensive one I've ever paid was 20. Yeah. Like I would pay like 8, 10.
The most I paid was 30 something, was 36 because I crossed the I was in Niterói and then I went back to Copacabana.
Okay. Yeah. So that's further.
It was far.
Very cool. All right. I know you love, before we talk about food and restaurant, let's go back to some just general safety tips, right? And this could be in Brazil, also, depending other parts of the world. Like for me, always, I like fanny pack. When I'm traveling to Europe, I'm very much fanny pack girl and always like very aware of my surroundings. In Europe, there's a lot of pickpocketers. So I've been like 14 times and nothing has ever happened, but 2 times almost happened. Mm-hmm. And it's just different people coming to you, try to distract you and things like that. But in Brazil, there's an extra layer, I feel like, of safety that we need. Mm-hmm. So whenever I go to Brazil, if I go somewhere that I don't know, so let's say I go to Rio or some place that I haven't been in a while, I tend not to have my phone out because I know they love to steal a phone.
Yeah. Phone is a thing that you always need to hide in your bag. Or, inside your pants or in a place that's hard to find it.
Yes.
So I see a lot of people sometimes filming stuff over there. And I was like, I wish I could film this. I wish I could do that. But I didn't have the courage to do it.
Right.
So I only felt secure when I was inside a restaurant or when I was inside a hotel or when I was inside a place that, I could put my phone out or when I was with somebody that was local.
Right. Or also I don't recommend using the phone as a GPS walking. I recommend try to figure out the route.
Yes.
Because they will snatch your phone. Like my husband was in Belo Horizonte, a different state, sitting with his friend, having a beer. And this woman was like, a guy from the bus stole her phone, passing by, stole her phone because she was standing up with her phone.
Wow.
They saw it right in front and it happens so fast, So you want to avoid that. For me in Brazil too, I don't know about you, but where I'm from, I kind of try to avoid taking very expensive things too, like walking around with.
No, I don't use my jewelry over there. I usually bring my fake stuff.
Yeah.
Or I buy something over there because they have a few places that you can buy really nice, jewelry that is inexpensive. Yeah. And they look good. I think I got this one. No, I got the earring over there. I got a few pieces for me, but I don't. But even like if you got using like necklace is something, even if you, that's what my friends over there told me. If you're using a necklace, even if it's not gold, that's the thing that they usually
will yank it.
They yank it. They take from you. Yeah. Of course, they're gonna find out after that's not.
It's not gold.
But some people.
But if it was,
But some people wear it and they think nothing gonna happen, and that's what they do. They like to get necklaces,
right? Because in Brazil they love brands, they love name brands. Yeah, so they're really into name brands. So I kind of dress down a little bit. Obviously, if I'm going by Uber to some place, an event or that's different. We're just talking about like sightseeing, walking out and about, etc. So
we don't have too many people that like in Europe. You say they distract you to rob you. There is more like direct. If they're gonna rob you,
sometimes violent.
They're gonna rob you. Yeah. They're not gonna make somebody else to talk to you to
distract you.
Yeah, they don't
they're
do
gonna
that.
Be like,
they're gonna
give me your.
They're gonna put a gun, or they're gonna put a knife, or they're gonna steal with their hands, something like that.
That's why we recommend you do some research, do homework. If you have a local contact there, maybe a local guide, and always ask. Like I love to ask if I'm at a hotel. I ask everybody I see that's local. What's your favorite this? What are your tips? You can ask. Maybe you feel safe walking at night somewhere, but you ask them. So, for example, I was in São Paulo, and the person I was with wanted to walk back to our Airbnb. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm going to roll my eyes.
Yes. I said, I don't think that's a good idea. And like, they didn't believe me even though I was Brazilian. But anyway, so I asked the waiter, I was like, hey, this is a very nice street. Do you think it's safe for us? He's like, hell no. He's like, you crazy. He's like, no. Like, what are you saying right now? Like, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Like, he was like,
is it not good? No good. No good.
Other things, traveling to Rio, how easy is it to use credit cards, debit cards, or do you really need to have cash?
I don't think you need to. Well, I learned that you don't need to have cash for anything
anymore
over there. If you want to have a little bit, maybe like 200 Rio, 300 Rio with you, like or 100. You're not going to need it because usually over there, everybody accept payments with cards.
Yeah, and it's
or
tap.
They have
very easy.
tap, and they also do Pix that would be comparing to the Zelle over here.
Yeah, which a foreigner wouldn't have. But one thing that's very interesting is I think because Rio is so popular and more touristy that you didn't have an issue. But where I'm from, it's smaller. I had a few places that did not accept my card at all. Like they wouldn't take international cards, even though it was Visa or like a normal Visa or MasterCard.
But did you call your card or something?
No, yeah, it's not. It's like their machine that doesn't let international because they pay more fees.
Oh, okay.
So it happened to me a few times. One time I actually it was like a whole thing, but, and then I kind of started learning which machine didn't take it. And also, I don't know about you, but for me, every time I use my debit card there, I have to pass it as credit.
Yes. And one important thing, like if you buy something with a card over there, I'm talking about like if you live in US and if you go over there, use the real currency instead of dollar. Like because some machines they ask if you want to do the dollar or the real currency, and it's better for us to do the
the local currency. Always. Europe too, everywhere.
Oh yeah?
Europe is the same thing because what happens is they're going to charge you to convert.
Yeah.
They charge you an extra fee to convert. So you're saving money when you always do local currency.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a good tip.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Okay. Good to know. So maybe, take out some highs.
But if you don't have because I'm Brazilian, I have a bank in Brazil. It's an online bank. And then I send money to this bank. This way I can can send Pix.
Right, yeah.
Pix is the Zelle.
Yeah, it's like a Venmo Zelle. It's like,
Venmo, Zelle.
Yeah, it's like
Cash App.
And they all take it, right? Yeah. It's like changed their lives.
Yeah.
They love it.
So if you're not a Brazilian and you're going over there, you might need, your card. And then I would say a few reals.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very hard to get change because a lot of people don't carry money.
Yeah, I know. Money's like becoming an
Money
instinct.
is something getting extinct in Rio. I don't know other states, but in Rio is getting real instinct. Like nobody.
No, yeah.
If you want to buy something cash,
nobody has a buck on them.
Can you send me a Pix because I don't have change for you? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't use too much cash there.
Okay, great to know. Now let's talk about language, English. So, Rio, known in the whole world, very tourist, destination. How do people speak English there? Do you need a little bit Portuguese? What do you recommend?
Oh, I think most of the people, like if you go to restaurants, hotels, and, places there, to eat, like, the regular, like if you go to tourist attractions, you don't need to speak Portuguese because most of the people speak English.
And they probably have things translated to some places.
Yeah. So English is not, we don't need to speak Portuguese over there. Would be a plus, but it's not necessary because
maybe a few words.
You're gonna find somebody to speak with you, to help you, or you're gonna see translations everywhere.
Yeah, or use the Google Translate on your phone.
Exactly. Or you can get that the
little headphones that translate.
That Phil's are going to leave the link here down.
Use my affiliate link, please.
She's going to leave the link here for you.
So I can do more tips for you guys.
She can leave the.
See, that's why you gotta do things with fellow creators, because they understand your world. She's gonna leave the link
here for you guys get the translator. This way you can understand what people are talking to you.